We're going to get right into the workout today. So today is shoulders. So the first movement I have is a military press behind the neck. So on this movement, the only time my lower back is really arched is just getting the bar off the rack, so then I'm not hurting my shoulders. And then I'm keeping my core engaged, trying to push that lower back into the bench. When I come down behind my head, I'm not going all the way down to set the bar on my neck. I'm just trying to go down to about the bottom of my ears. I'm just breaking parallel with my elbows and my shoulders coming down, just so I get a good range of motion. Now, you'll see people just come down to 90 degrees, but I realize those people throw a bunch of weight on the bar also. I only have 95 pounds here. I think I went up to like maybe 115, 135. So not really heavy weight. I really care about the movements of the muscle, so I want to get a full range of motion here. All right, this is a rear delt fly. I'm keeping my shoulder blades retracted the entire time, and so that really isolates the rear delt. Also, if my shoulders were to come forward, like fall forward, I wouldn't get a very good stretch on my rear delt. So you'll notice if you keep your shoulder blades together at the bottom of a rear delt fly, you'll definitely feel a better stretch in the rear delt, and you'll get you get a huge pump off of it. My next movement, I'm doing a standing, just a strict overhead press, trying to keep the core engaged. And I feel like this movement gives you a little more freedom than sitting down in a bench. I can really feel it in the delts more, keeping the back tight. So this definitely is a nice kind of a end movement. You can do it at the beginning and go really, really heavy, but I'd rather do a really controlled movement at the beginning of my workout. Especially today where I'm just going for hypertrophy and looking for the pump. I didn't do very many movements today, but I did do a lot of sets. I did probably about 5 sets on each movement, and it was right in between that 8 to 12. Sometimes I went 6 or sometimes I went 16 reps. But it was right around that 8 to 12 rep range. Here I have an Arnold press. Same thing, I'm keeping my back into the bench. I'm not arching like horribly bad. I'm just keeping a nice tight core as I do this. And then I'm focusing when I come up, squeezing the shoulders. And then when I come down, getting a nice full stretch. So I'm focused on the range of motion here and not just pushing a bunch of weight. And then my next movement is a side lateral raise for my delts, side lateral delt raise. And with that, I'm just focusing on really controlling the movement. I see a lot of people when they do delts, like side lateral delt raises, they swing a lot or they really tip back. But I try and hit my mid and rear delt when I do side lateral delt raises. So I'm focusing on the movement, pulling with my elbow. So I'm pulling my elbows up and back, not so much the hand. I feel like if the hand stays below the elbow, you're good and you get such a better contraction in the delts. So try those out. I hope you like them. Hope you get a good pump off of them and a little bit of growth. I'll see you in the next video. Today I'm making protein Kodiak cakes. So that's what the box looks like. And I'm going to make them with more protein today. So you'll see how I make them. There's the macros you can see. So it's, for one serving is a half a cup of this mix, is 2 grams of fat, 30 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of protein. And as I'm making these, I'll share with you a little bit more about macros so you can kind of understand what my diet consists of. It's pretty much any food I want within my macros. So it's kind of like budgeting money. You have things you have to pay for, you have things you need income for, so it's kind of the same thing. Anyway, with this mix, instead of adding so much water, I ended up adding 2 eggs. So it brings the protein up just a little bit more. So then it's about 8 grams of fat, 30 grams of carbs, and it'd be like 25 or so grams of protein. Once I put it in, I'll put it into my FitnessPal, and then it'll show where I'm at. So that's kind of what I rely on for my macros. I don't really write it down, figure it out anymore. I just use an app on my phone. Now, in here, I put the mix. I put a half cup of mix, my 2 eggs, and then I'll put a little bit of water in. And then we'll get talking about macros. Well, this is cooking. Alright, so you've probably had protein pancakes before, and they're just dry and, don't taste good. Or they might taste kind of good, but not like normal pancakes. These actually taste like normal pancakes. So, I'll show you the end product. Anyway, so your macros are your carbs, your proteins, and your fats. And you get a allotted amount of carbs, proteins, and fats for your whole day. And then you just kind of track them. So you have to be within 5% of your amount of macros. Now to figure those out, there's a way to find your caloric intake, and then you break that down into macros. So the calories you're going to want is 8 to 10 calories for every pound of body weight you weigh, or your lean body mass anyway. So if you're way overweight, then you want to go off maybe just a little bit less. Just say you were like 15 to 20% body fat, and that's where you want to go. And that's where your macros are going to go off of. Now, see, flip that one, looks really good. This is going to be delicious. Now, for your actual macros, to figure those out after your calories, some people go off percentages, and some people will go off of like, protein per pound of body weight and stuff like that. So what I usually go off of is your body weight. Still, for everything, I like to go off body weight. Sorry, I had to take my pancakes off. So that's what they look like when they're done. I'm gonna throw some peanut butter on them. But anyway, for like protein, you can go for 1 gram of protein per however many pounds you are, or whatever. And then fats are going to be pretty much universally the same for everybody. You can go even up to like 70 grams of fat if you want to, but I would stay down in that 50 to 60. The reason that fats are there are going to be to kind of control your hormone levels. So you still want those there. You want them high enough. You don't want to drop them too low, but you don't want them too high because, like I said, a gram of fat is going to be 9 calories. So if you're adding fats in, you're going to add more calories in faster rather than a gram of carbs or proteins, which is going to be 4 calories. So it still does go off calories, but it's macros and calories because you still want to be in a caloric deficit, but you want to hold muscle on your body. So the protein is going to hold muscle on your body. Some people don't need as much protein as others to hold that muscle on their body, because with protein you are adding calories in there and you want to be in a deficit. So some people can go lower protein. Some people don't have to go 1 gram per pound of body weight. Some people have to go more than a gram per pound of body weight. And there's 2 ways to figure this out. You can figure it out on your own by trial and error, or you can hire a coach to do it for you. Either one. And then with your carbs, you're filling in that gap with your grams of carbohydrates, that caloric gap. And so for a normal size guy that's 5'8", 5'9", they're usually going to be maybe right around 200 pounds. So you do like 180, 190 grams of protein because they're still going to need to lose weight. You do like 50 to 60 grams of fat, and then between 200 and 250 grams of carbs. Now that's an example, and you can take the protein, times 4, and the carbs times 4, and the fats times 9, and figure out how many calories that all is. But that's just kind of a simpler way to get your calories. And if you want me to make a video where I can draw graphs out and stuff, I can do that also to explain a little bit more. I will be using whiteboard and graphs when I start getting into refeeds, because refeeds are really important when you want to maintain, or say you hit a plateau in your weight loss and you want to come down, you hit a plateau and you don't want to stay there. You might refeed just a little bit, give your body a little more energy or whatever, and then your weight's going to start coming down faster. Sometimes if you're being more active because your weight's come down, a lot of times you'll need more food in general. Sometimes if your weight comes down, you'll need less food. It just all depends. So I'll be making a video on refeeds, durations of refeeds. I'll explain macros a little bit more when I do that. But this is just a quick glimpse of how to start your macros pretty much, and seeing how easy it is. Just putting your food into MyFitnessPal or some type of app like that, seeing what your macros are on a daily basis, and then trying to be consistent with them. Being consistent with being in a caloric deficit. And then there's also different ways to calculate your macros if you're gaining weight, if you're trying to gain muscle, if you're trying to gain performance, different things like that. So right now this is just for a weight loss, and then I'll do a longer video for weight gain. But try out the pancakes, Kodiak protein pancakes. Add a couple more eggs than usual instead of the milk or water. Try them out and enjoy.